a strong foundation for future episodes. Jocelyn's decision also creates a fascinating emotional conflict involving her father. Honoring Jax by accepting leadership of JJ sounds positive. But what happens if she discovers something about the company that conflicts with what she believes her father's legacy should represent? That would create a powerful internal conflict. Does honoring her father mean protecting the company at all costs? Or does it mean changing the company when she discovers something wrong? A true legacy is not necessarily about preserving everything exactly as it was. Sometimes it means having the courage to correct what needs to change. That could ultimately be Jocelyn's biggest challenge. She may begin as a young woman trying to honor her father's memory. She could eventually become a leader willing to redefine what that legacy means. Hudson may unintentionally help create that transformation. By trying to manipulate the company from behind the scenes, he could push Jocelyn into becoming stronger and more suspicious. Every obstacle could teach her something. Every betrayal could sharpen her instincts. Every secret could make her more independent. And that would give the storyline long-term value. Meanwhile, Carly's reaction will be worth watching. Carly is not accustomed to standing on the sidelines when her children are involved. She has always been a fighter. If she believes Jocelyn is walking into danger, her first instinct will likely be to intervene. Jason's warning therefore creates a conflict between two kinds of protection. Carly protects by acting. Jason protects by assessing. Neither approach is necessarily wrong, but they can collide. And when they do, Jocelyn may be caught between them. The healthiest outcome would be for Carly to trust the daughter she raised. But trust is difficult when danger is involved. That emotional struggle could become one of the most realistic aspects of the storyline. The romantic plot involving Rick and Elizabeth provides another form of emotional rebuilding. Lulu's advice may give Rick a chance, but advice alone cannot repair years of damage. Rick will have to prove that his behavior has changed. Elizabeth will need to decide whether she believes him. And that creates suspense because forgiveness cannot be demanded. Rick can apologize. He can explain. He can make promises. But Elizabeth ultimately controls whether she believes those promises. That is why the positive momentum should not be interpreted as a guaranteed reconciliation. Instead, it should be viewed as an opening. A door has cracked open. Rick now has to decide what he does with that opportunity. The same principle applies to Joe and Lucas. Their new living arrangement may be peaceful at first, but cohabitation exposes people to one another in ways ordinary friendship does not. Small habits become visible. Personal boundaries become important. Financial questions can arise. Other relationships can create tension. And secrets become harder to hide. That means Joe's move could become a deceptively important development. Soap operas often take ordinary life changes and turn them into sources of major drama. The August 25th episode seems to be setting up exactly that kind of future. Looking ahead, Anna's storyline appears to have the greatest immediate danger. If the hallucinations continue, Anna may eventually act on something she believes is real. The writers could create a situation where Anna prepares to confront Britt or Jason while everyone else remains unaware of what is happening inside her mind. That could produce an explosive confrontation. Imagine Jason realizing that Anna is not acting like herself. Would he fight back? Would he try to restrain her? Would he realize that she is suffering before she does something irreversible? And what role would Valentine play? That is the kind of emotional suspense that could elevate this storyline beyond a simple thriller. The psychological question is more compelling than the physical one. Will Anna defeat Peter's influence? Or will Peter's memory continue controlling her? In a symbolic sense, Anna's battle with Peter is a battle with the past. And the only way to win may be to stop letting the past dictate the present. For Jocelyn, the danger is more external. Her challenge is discovering Hudson's agenda. If she becomes suspicious, she could begin investigating. And because she is now CEO, she has access to information she may not have had before. That could make her much harder to manipulate. Hudson's biggest mistake may have been underestimating her. He may have seen Jocelyn as a young woman stepping into a powerful position because of her family name. But if Jocelyn begins proving herself, his assumptions could collapse. She does not necessarily need to become another Carly. In fact, the most interesting version of Jocelyn would be one who develops a leadership style completely her own. She could combine her mother's determination with her father's business instincts while rejecting the destructive habits of both worlds. That would be genuine character growth. Jason's role could then become that of a guardian who understands when to step back. That is a difficult role for someone like Jason. He is accustomed to solving problems directly. But Jocelyn's future may require him to let her solve some problems herself. This could also change Jason's relationship with Carly. Their disagreement over Jocelyn's future may force them to reconsider how they approach the next generation. The children of Port Charles are no longer children. They are becoming decision-makers. And that shift naturally changes the balance of power. The episode's smaller stories support this broader theme. Rick is trying to change how he approaches Elizabeth. Joe is adapting to a new home. Anna is struggling to separate memory from reality. Jocelyn is accepting a leadership role. Everyone is adjusting. That makes the August 25th episode feel less like an isolated collection of storylines and more like a transition point. Port Charles is changing. Old identities are being challenged. New responsibilities are emerging, and the consequences are likely to spread. The biggest question for Anna is whether she can ask for help before the hallucinations become dangerous. The biggest question for Jocelyn is whether she can uncover Hudson's intentions before he adjusts his strategy. The biggest question for Carly is whether she can trust Jocelyn enough to let her lead. The biggest question for Jason is whether protecting someone sometimes means staying out of the way. The biggest question for Rick is whether his actions can finally match his words. And the biggest question for Hudson is what he will do now that Jocelyn has taken away the advantage he thought he had. Those questions give the next chapters plenty of momentum. Ultimately, the August 25th episode of General Hospital is about control and the loss of control. Anna is losing control over the boundary between memory and reality. Hudson is losing control over his corporate plans. Jocelyn is gaining control over her professional